For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says there's evidence North Korea sent troops to Russia. South Korea spy chief told lawmakers today 3,000 North Korean troops are in Russia receiving training on drones and other equipment before being deployed to battlefields in Ukraine. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky last night said Ukrainian military intelligence has information potentially 2 brigades of 6,000 people each from North Korea are being trained in Russia. While the estimated number of troops vary, Ukraine and its allies are now in agreement North Korea is aiding Russia's war, a move the State Department has said would be reckless and dangerous. More from FSN's Megumi Lim in Kiev.
Ukraine's military intelligence chief Kirilo Budanov said as many as 2,600 North Korean soldiers would be deployed to the Kursk region. He said troops were expected to arrive on October 23rd. Budanov has warned that around 10,000 North Korean soldiers will likely join Russia's army in the coming months. It would be the first time since the Korean War 70 years ago that the North Korean army would be involved in military action. Megumi Lim in Kyiv.
Britain and Germany say they'll sign a defense pact to counter what they say is Russia's growing threat in the region today. Officials say German submarine hunting planes will patrol the North Atlantic from a base in Scotland. Under the deal, the two countries say they'll also cooperate to prioritize developing long-range strike weapons that could travel further than the UK's Storm Shadow missiles. The World Health Organization says it's suspending a third phase of a polio vaccination campaign in northern Gaza that was set to begin today due to escalating violence, intense bombardment, mass displacement orders, and a lack of assured humanitarian pauses across most of northern Gaza. This is said in a statement. The final phase aimed to vaccinate more than 119,000 Palestinian children across northern Gaza. A statement from the WHO said the conditions, including ongoing attacks on civilian infrastructure, continue to jeopardize people's safety and movement, making it impossible for families to safely bring their children for vaccination and health workers to operate. Polio was detected in a baby earlier this year in Gaza, the first case in decades. The baby was paralyzed. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel needs to pursue an enduring success strategy in Gaza after its victory against Hamas and urged it to seek a deal that would end the war and bring back dozens of hostages. He spoke before traveling from Israel to Saudi Arabia, where he's landed. It's his 11th visit to the region since the war began. He also said he opposed Israeli resettlements of Gaza. This after reports senior Israeli leaders are calling for resettlements.
We reject any Israeli reoccupation of Gaza. I said so in Tokyo a year ago. It's been U.S. policy. It will remain U.S. policy. And it's also, to the best of my understanding, the policy of the Israeli government. That's what I heard from the Prime Minister, who is the authoritative word on these things. So whatever they say, whether it's retired generals or some members of the government, that is not the policy of the government, and it is certainly not the policy of the United States. We reject it. Right now, the focus needs to be on getting the hostages home, ending this war, and having a clear plan for what follows.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development said in a report if the war in Gaza ends tomorrow, it could take 350 years for its battered economy to return to its precarious pre-war level. The Gaza Strip had been under an Israeli blockade for more than a decade. The war has caused staggering destruction across the territory, with entire neighborhoods obliterated and roads and critical infrastructure in ruins. Mountains of rubble laced with decomposing bodies and unexploded ordnances would have to be cleared before rebuilding could even begin. Vice President Kamala Harris speaks at a town hall in Pennsylvania today. Former President Donald Trump campaigns in Georgia. His former chief of staff, John Kelly, told the New York Times Trump falls within the definition of a fascist.
The former president is in the far right area. He's certainly an authoritarian, admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist. for sure.
He also said Trump more than once said Hitler did some good things too. Kelly declined to endorse any candidate for the White House, but told the New York Times it's a dangerous thing to have the wrong person elected to the high office. A federal judge has ordered former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani to turn over his New York City apartment and other assets to two Georgia election workers who won a $148 million defamation judgment against him. Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Wanda Shea Moss, won a lawsuit over Giuliani's false ballot fraud claims against them during the 2020 presidential election. The two women faced threats and abuse from Trump supporters after Giuliani falsely accused them of conspiring against Trump in the 2020 election in Georgia. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.